before thee in humble obedience and dependence. We pray thee, grant us the grace to respect each other this day in all our consultations, that our deliberations today shall take place in the spirit of mutual trust, so that we as leaders shall lead our country on the path of peace and shall find solutions for issues and problems facing us. Grant us the mercy, O Lord, that we shall today also honor thy name in all we think, do, and say. Almighty God, we pray thee, bless our land and all its people. This all we pray in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Affirmation. I solemnly affirm that I will be faithful to the Republic of Namibia and its people, and I solemnly promise to uphold and defend the Constitution and laws of the Republic of Namibia to the best of my ability. I have the following announcements to make. In terms of Rule 30 of the Standing Rules, Orders and Internal Arrangements, the Speaker and Deputy Speaker, accompanied by their proposers and seconders and other members of the House, must, as soon as possible after their election, present themselves to the President to inform him or her of their election, and on their return to the House, the Speaker must report their presentation. The Speaker and Deputy Speaker presented themselves to the President, Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah at State House on the 28th of March 2025. They were accompanied by Honorable Sophia Nahango Shaningwa, MP, Secretary General of SWAPO Party, Honorable Wahekwa Herunga, the Deputy Secretary General of SWAPO Party and Government Chief Whip, Honorable Paula Cooper, the Deputy Chief Whip of SWAPO Party, and Honorable Dr. Charles Mubita. The National Assembly is requested to take note of the presentation. Further, by decision of the Selection Committee, I am pleased to inform you that the Selection Committee that was established in terms of Rule 2 of the Rules for the Establishing, Functioning and Procedures of Parliamentary Standing Committees convened on Monday, the 7th of April, 2025, and determined in terms of Rule 3, Sub 1, that the number of members of a standing committee will comprise of 24 members per standing committee based on the principle of proportional representation. The membership of 24 will be applied to all standing committees with the exception of the Committee on Budget and Finance, Committee on Implementation, Committee on Privileges, and Committee on Standing Rules and Orders and Internal Arrangements, because membership to these 4 committees are predetermined by the committee rules. I would like to call upon the Government Chief Whip, Official Opposition Chief Whip, and party whips and representatives as per Rule 38, 39, and 40 of the Standing Rules, Orders, and Internal Arrangements of the National Assembly to nominate members for appointment to parliamentary standing committees accordingly, as required by Rule 5, Sub 1 of the committee rules. Submissions must reach the Secretariat by Thursday at 12 hours noon. The next meeting of the Selection Committee is scheduled for Friday, 11th of April, 2025 at 10 hours to consider nominations from political parties and appoint members to the committees as provided for in Rule 5 of the committee rules. I thank you. Are there any petitions? Any reports of standing select committees? There are no committees yet. Other reports and papers? Notices of questions? Notices of motions? Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I hereby give notice that on Thursday, the 10th of April, the year 2025, Mike. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, I give notice that on the 10th of April, the year 2025, I shall ask the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Dr. Elia Ngurare, the following. As it is common cause, the construction of earth dams has become a critical strategy to capture and store water during the short rainy seasons. These dams provide an essential water supply during the dry months, particularly for rural communities dependent on agriculture and livestock farming, especially considering our erratic and unpredictable rainfall patterns. We face significant challenges related to water scarcity, particularly in rural and semi-rural areas. However, flat to water-prone areas such as Efunja, while offering potential for water storage, pose unique challenges. The unpredictable nature of flooding in these areas introduces significant risks to the stability of these dams and the surrounding ecosystem. I shall ask the Right Honorable Prime Minister the following. 1. Has an environmental impact assessment been conducted for the construction of earth dams in flat water-prone areas? And if so, what were the findings, especially in terms of ecosystem disruption and floodplain alteration? 2. What is the envisaged timeline for the construction of earth dams, should there be any? 3. What strategies are being implemented to balance the risk of flooding during the rainy seasons with the need for water storage in arid periods in Efunja-prone areas? 4. What is the projected capacity of these dams in terms of water storage? And how does the government ensure that the stored water is used efficiently and equitably, particularly for rural communities? 5. In light of the country's susceptibility to both droughts and floods, what contingency plans are in place to ensure rapid response and adaptation should earth dams face structural issues or overflow during extreme flood events? And lastly, what plans are in place to ensure that the construction of earth dams aligns with broader national water security and economic development goals, especially in rural and remote regions? I so submit. Honorable Speaker, lastly, I also ask on Thursday, the 10th of April, the very same year, I shall ask the Minister of Health and Social Services, Honorable Dr. Esperance Lubindao, sorry for butchering your name if I do, the following. Earlier this year, the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, underwent significant operational changes under the Trump administration, resulting in a 90-day freeze on all foreign aid spending, including vital programs such as the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS, Relief PEPFAR. Domestically, these policy shifts have had significant impact on non-governmental organizations that depend on said funding. This disruption has particularly affected HIV/AIDS relief efforts, as USAID had allocated approximately $737 million towards HIV/AIDS initiatives in Namibia the year 2024 alone. Therefore, I ask the Minister the following. Given that Namibia's healthcare sector has long relied on external funding, can you provide a detailed analysis of how the recent cuts of USAID funding has directly impacted the delivery of healthcare services in the country? Specifically, what key programs or initiatives have been affected by this cessation of funding? 2. How have these reductions in funding affected the operations of the Ministry of Health and Social Services in general, and particularly in respect of staffing as well as the procurement of essential medical supplies? 3. What are the steps that the Ministry has taken to mitigate the gaps left by the reduction in USAID funding, and what are the associated costs of these mitigation efforts, if any? Or are there new partnerships, alternative funding sources, or internal reallocations being explored to address the shortfalls brought about by the disruptions in this funding? 5, has there been any assessment of the potential socio-economic impact of these funding cuts on vulnerable groups such as women, children, and people living with HIV/AIDS? If yes, what does such an assessment entail? And lastly, how do you, Honourable Minister, plan to address the potential healthcare disparities for marginalized, underserved, and rural populations due to USAID funding cuts to critical health programs like HIV/AIDS and maternal health? Honourable Speaker, I so submit.
Yeah, can the honourable member please table the questions? Honorable Mbula.
Sorry. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I hereby give notice that on Thursday, the 10th of April, 2025, I shall ask the Minister of Industrialization, Mines and Energy, as well as Deputy Prime Minister, Right Honorable Natangwe Ithete, on the role of the Namibia Diamond Trading Company, or known as NDTC, in regulating the site holder status of diamond cutting and polishing companies in Namibia. The NDTC, as the primary custodian of Namibia's diamond distribution chain, is mandated to ensure that Namibian diamonds contribute meaningfully to the nation's broader economic development objectives. However, this institution appears to have shifted from its developmental role to a regulatory and policing entity, failing to fulfill its core mandate, which is to foster economic growth and value addition within the sector for the benefit of Namibians. Honourable Speaker, honourable members, as of 2024, Namibia had 15 diamond cutting and polishing companies operating under the site holder agreements issued by NDTC. The ownership distribution of these companies was as follows. 3 of them are Israelis, that represent 20% of that subsector. 8 of them are Indians, that represents 53% of that subsector. Israelis, Americans combined with Namibian as a joint venture is mere 7%, and as well as the Israeli-Indian joint venture, which is 2%, and purely Namibian company, which is 7%. However, three of these companies' site holder statuses were abruptly terminated by NDTC in the year 2024. Such a notice was issued by a certain Mr. Brent Asap, the CEO of NDTC, on December 13, 2024. One of the companies in question is Daker Investments 142 Pty Limited, a company trading as Almond Diamond, as well as an Israeli, Namibia, and American joint venture by nature. This company employed 115 Namibians by 2015. As we speak today, it has only 80 Namibian employees left and has over the past 18 years accumulated experience in this industry and invested heavily. Notably, it pioneered a globally recognized Namibian grown diamond cutting technique that features 90 facets instead of the 57 standard facets that the beers of as per the beer standards or the world standards of this trading commodity. And this diamond, which is found here, is called the Crown of Light. Honourable Minister, The termination of the site holder agreement means these companies will no longer contribute to the stifling GDP, adding to the country's 36.9% and growing unemployment rate, according to the Namibian Statistics Agency. I therefore ask the following. 1. Can the Right Honourable Minister provide this House with the parameters used by NDTC to grant and revoke site holder status of diamond cutting and polishing companies? 2. On what grounds were the 3 companies' site holder statuses terminated, and were the due processes and transparency observed? 3. In the instance that the NDTC terminates a site holder status, what measures are in place to support these companies in regaining their status and ultimately saving the livelihoods of their employees? 4. How does the NDTC ensure that its decisions are aligned with Namibia's economic development objectives, particularly in terms of job creation and skills transfer? 5. Can the Minister provide a comprehensive status update on all 15 diamond polishing companies, including their operational capacity, the number of Namibians employed in strategic positions in these companies, as well as the site holder's role in diamond polishing and export? Lastly, what steps is the Ministry taking to prevent the disproportionate exclusion of Namibian-owned and joint venture companies from the diamond value chain? I have also attached support documents for the reference of the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister as well. So I shall submit.
Thank you. Will the Honourable Member table the questions? Yes, I recognize Honourable Aupindi.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise on Rule 135 to ask an urgent oral question to the Minister of Regional Governance, the Honourable James Amkwasa James. I believe the Honourable Speaker, if permitting me, would want the gist of it.
Yes.
The gist is that it's concerning the ponds that are now becoming a reality in the Windhoek roads. The Honourable Speaker, I have been driving around the Windhoek streets, and truly I have been seeing a lot of, it's no longer potholes. It used to be called potholes. It is now ponds that are also very dangerous to the road users. It was asked, but my question is that, as the minister responsible for the local authority system under the devolution policy of the government of the Republic of Namibia, has the Honourable Minister noticed this scenario? Has the Honourable Minister taken any action pertaining to that? And if you have, and I know that usually the local authorities, and by extension maybe even a roads authority, but which is not under your control, are usually citing that it's not sustainable and viable to carry out these renovations during the rainy season. Rightfully so scientifically, because the bitumen cannot mix with water. But these ponds are now really dangerous to road users. They are wrecking cars, they are wrecking even pedestrians. The other day I saw people, citizens, coming up with their own initiatives with wheelbarrows, literally trying to fill those potholes. Now, my dear Honourable Minister, can you assure this House that you will indeed, if you have not already done so, but I believe you are competent enough, that you will take action and direct the city of Windhoek to at least do something in the interim, even if they can't carry out the overall renovation of the roads? Can they carry out some basic maintenance to ensure that the roads are safe to use? Otherwise, we'll even be opening ourselves up for lawsuits, because damage to private properties, cars, and so on could lead to lawsuits, even worse if lives are lost as a result of those ponds that are on the roads. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Member. The questions must be short and to the point. Honorable Sankwasa, Minister of Urban and Rural Development, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I appreciate the question from the Honorable Member of this August House. And I'm one of the people that is equally affected like any other citizen by the current situation of the roads. But we should appreciate that this is a twofold issue. One, we are battling against nature, which the Honorable Member has correctly put that we cannot undertake a comprehensive repair of the bitumen standard road when you are facing with heavy rains, because they are not compatible. Number two, even when the rain stops, there is still a challenge of funding and availability of funds to make sure that countrywide repair in all our local authorities is done. But I must record here that municipalities are being owed huge amounts of money by government ministries and even some of the members of this House who are not paying their water and electricity bills. So when we embark on the repair, I must send a warning shot that we are going to cut off. Whether you are a politician, you will face the consequences when we start with the repair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next is Honorable Mongo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have an urgent oral question to Dr. Esperance Rubindao.
Yes. Can I? Yeah, you can give a gist.
The gist is the cancellation of elective procedures at Windhoek Central Hospitals and Katutura
Okay.
Hospital. Honorable Doctor, yesterday the acting head of anesthesia department has sent out an internal memo to all departments of surgical departments saying that starting of today, there will be no elective procedures to be conducted at the Windhoek Central Hospital and at the Katutura Intermediate Hospital. Now, these muscle relaxant drugs are very crucial when it comes to intubation. Now, because of this shortage and unavailability of muscle relaxant drugs, there will not be any procedures taking place. Are you aware about this shortage and unavailability of such crucial drugs at our hospitals? And what is the ministry doing to address this shortage?
Thank you. Honorable Minister, would you like to respond?
Thank you very much for that question. I would like to draw your attention to, I think you highlighted it very well, to say that these drugs are urgent and these drugs are needed. Muscle relaxants, of course, being crucial, particularly when dealing with operations. I draw attention to the fact that elective cases, of course, being at this point in time non-emergency. However, the issue of availability of medication is one that we have tabled, is one that we are looking at, and it is important to remember that this is not something where we are looking for a short-term solution to say we will be able to provide these drugs next week. That doesn't solve the problem. What needs to happen is to ensure that we don't have these stockouts of medication. We need to ensure that come 1 month, 2 months later, you are not posing the same question. And I reassure you that it is something that we are tabling as a matter of urgency, looking at our supplies of medication, looking at the supplies of drugs, and ensuring that going forward, and not just for muscle relaxants, but other crucial drugs that are pertinent to life, we have sufficient stock, and that going forward we have the necessary supplies. So thank you very much for the question, and yes, we are tabling it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Honorable Nashinge.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to ask an urgent oral question to the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Safety and Security. It's on cyber security, in case you want to get a just need. Honorable Minister, there appear to be an increase in cyberspace crimes, especially directed to the unsuspecting elders in our remote parts of the country. The members of this side of the House seek an explanation as to what extent is the members on the opposite side accelerating the curbing, to what extent is the members on the opposite side accelerating the curbing of such crimes. Many of our people are extremely concerned that their money are being stolen by the cyber criminals. I so submit my question.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Minister, would you like to respond?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member. Your question, as much as it's relevant, it has two dimensions. The cybersecurity part of it is directed to the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology. In terms of crimes, I would advise the member to put the question in writing, and then we will be able to respond. I so submit, and I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. Notices of motions, messages from the head of state, ministerial statements, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I am Selma Ashipala Mustafi, Minister of International Relations and Trade, and I rise to inform this august House on the latest geopolitical development as pertained on the recent introduction of new tariff policy by the new administration of the United States of America through the executive order issued on the 2nd of April this year. The US administration has provided a variety of reasons for the adoption of this tariff policy, including rebalancing global trade flows into the United States by imposing additional tariffs on essentially all imports from all its trading partners. 2, addressing currency manipulation and bringing back manufacturing jobs to the US. The new US tariff policy has 2 components: a 10% general baseline tariff rate on most trading partners, which entered into effect on the 5th of April. And secondly, a set of higher country-specific reciprocal tariff rates on 57 trade partners with which the US has trade deficits, entering into effect tomorrow, the 9th of April, 2025. For Namibia, the United States of America will impose so-called reciprocal tariff of 21% for products originating from Namibia. And unless indicated otherwise by the US government, we can only assume that the tariffs will apply to all Namibian products entering the US. The products affected by this measures include beef, fish, a number of minerals, among others. As we all know, tariffs are a tax placed on imports and can raise the price for consumers in the importing country, leading to a decline in imports. The impact on Namibia thus means that, due to the price increase as a result of the general and reciprocal tariffs, a reduction in Namibian exports to the US is very likely. The action by the US administration has created additional volatility and uncertainty in global trade, which undermines the commitments made by all countries in the multilateral trading system, as characterized in the World Trade Organization, as well as commitments made by the United States government under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. AGOA is a non-reciprocal agreement designed to support eligible developing countries and least developed countries in Africa by providing additional preferential access to the US market. Unfortunately, the general and so-called reciprocal tariffs on our exports could result in unfair market conditions for Namibian products to compete fairly within the US market. Furthermore, the tariff imposed by the US government may jeopardize the proposal by the majority of African states to extend AGOA beyond 2025. Clarity is therefore required for the US administration on how they plan to treat AGOA, including on whether they wish to extend this arrangement before 2025. We are deeply concerned about many aspects of the newly imposed US tariffs, including the lack of transparency and consultations with affected countries prior to their implementation. This unilateral action contradicts the principles of multilateral trading systems, which emphasize transparency and prior engagements before member enacts decisions that may impact other WTO members. The Ministry of International Relations and Trade will continue to monitor the evolving dynamics of the America First trade policy, as well as its implication for non-reciprocal trade agreements. Namibia cannot always determine what actions any of our bilateral trading partners undertake, but we can control how we react, respond, and the type of mitigating measures we put in place. Therefore, the Ministry will continue to engage Namibian stakeholders through the Namibia Trade Forum to obtain more statistics on Namibian exports to the US in terms of commodities, value, and volumes over the years. This, we believe, will help to ensure that any response by government is evidence-based and grounded in reliable data and facts to determine the implication thereof. 2, the Ministry has initiated and will continue discussions with the U.S. Embassy in Windhoek on the matter. Discussions through diplomatic channels with the U.S. government will also seek a better understanding of their implementation in view of Namibia's benefits under AGOA. Since Namibia is a member of SACU, and given the common external tariff applied by the Customs Union, dialogue at SACU is envisaged in order to have a common understanding on how best to engage the U.S. administration. In this context, I wish to inform members that SACU has been tasked to undertake a comprehensive analysis on the impact of the new tariffs imposed by the U.S. administration. Namibia will continue to reiterate its strong advocacy for rule-based multilateral trading system. Through our diplomatic missions, the Ministry will continue to monitor the evolving trade landscape to adapt strategies in compliance with WTO rules while advocating for fair trade practices. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, as the new U.S. tariff regime is still evolving, government is diligently keeping track of them and assessing their impact on Namibia's economy and overall well-being. Furthermore, as other nations, regions, and alliances around the world begin to devise their own strategies, alliances, rules, and regulations in response to this new tariff regime, government is keeping track of their implications for Namibia, ready to in time craft responses to minimize any negative consequences for us, while taking advantage of any opportunities they might offer for strengthening our global positioning. In all of these uncertain and unstable dynamics, Namibia is most mindful of its solidarity with its sister African countries in the region and throughout the continent, under the aegis of SADC, the African Union, the African Continental Free Trade Area, respectively, and the importance of keeping those ties even more closer and stronger in uncertain times such as this. Government welcomes bilateral and multilateral dialogue to further enhance our bilateral trade. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Yes, Honorable Venani, you have the floor.
As a follow-up question to Ambassador.
Yes, you may do so.
Who has just made her maiden speech. Honorable Ambassador, looking at the fluidity of decision-making in Washington, are you really taking us into confidence to say that the U.S. Embassy here in Windhoek is the right point of entry to engage on these tariffs decisions? I would have liked to hear from you what our embassy, our ambassador, our trade attaché, if there is anyone in Washington, directly engaging Washington. Because at the rate that President Trump is deciding on foreign policy, it has become a Twitter foreign policy.
Yes.
So I can't believe that our government would tell us that, no, you are going to go to an ambassador somewhere in Klein Windhoek here, and that person will be able to tell you on how they are going to engage. I think as a new Minister of Trade and new Minister of International Relations, speak to Washington and let our ambassador in Washington do the work for us, because that's the best route to engage Americans. I don't think Americans would listen to an embassy here in Windhoek. My take on the matter.
Good. Yes, Honorable Ampanda.
Ambassador.
Bullying me. Two interventions. Now, the Minister, the impact of the American action on Namibia will be twofold. Firstly, there is those direct mention of Namibia and how it's going to, the tariffs that specifically refers to our country. But because of our economic relations with South Africa and the pegging of the rand to South Africa, there is specific interventions against South Africa and the South African economy. Because we are pegged, the impact is obvious. So what is the analysis as far as the impact on South Africa is concerned because of the connection that we have? That's one. Two, you made mention of that the tariffs would result in unfair market conditions on Namibian products, but you did not mention these unfair market conditions. Could you engage us to indicate to us what are these unfair market conditions that you didn't mention? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Minister, would you like to respond?
Thank you very much, Honorable Venani, for the question. Our engagement with the United States is multi-pronged. We are, as I mentioned in my statement, we are engaging our diplomatic missions, and we are also engaging the U.S. Embassy here. In diplomacy, a government will always engage its own embassy, not the embassy of the sending state. In this case, our embassy in Namibia is of a sending state. So we will benefit more by engaging both. That is why we are engaging the U.S. Embassy here, because in engaging Namibia, the U.S. Embassy will never go to the Namibian Embassy in Washington, D.C. They will always engage their embassy in Windhoek. And I hope I have clarified that. With regard to Honorable Ampanda, with regard to the unfair market conditions, I think we all understand that the products that will be exported to the United States will attract more duties. And because they attract more duties, they will not be competitive. So an exporter from here will be disadvantaged because the U.S. might diversify looking for elsewhere. So that is actually the impact on our commodities. With regard to SACU, as I have mentioned, the SACU ministers are scheduling a meeting in the coming days to basically see how we can come together and have a position in engaging the U.S. administration. Now, it's true, our rent is pegged to the rent, but that is a different discussion altogether. So I think that is what I can say with regard to SACU. Thank you.
Yes, is that a follow-up question, Honorable Ampanda?
Speaker, there must have been a misunderstanding. My question was not on SACU. My question was on South Africa.
I think it will be unfair for me to speak up on South Africa. I came here to inform the government on how the U.S. tariffs are impacting on Namibia.
Yes, Honorable Member, can I suggest this? I think as the situation evolves, as the government, as the review of the decision unfolds within government, the ministry should keep Parliament and the public updated. Obviously, the relationship between Namibia and South Africa is also through SACU. The impact of what happens in South Africa on SACU member states is through SACU. So if there is that review, I think it would enable us to have an appreciation of how we are impacted by that decision applied against South Africa. Honorable Member, you don't have the floor.
Oh,
Yes, because I don't think that the minister will be able to provide detailed information on an issue which she has indicated really is under review. It's under review. It's difficult for somebody to sit in their country and without any kind of analysis just come up with, some report to provide. Unless if you are going to ask when that report is expected, maybe that would add a bit more value. I give you the floor with that understanding that we are not going to try and get from the minister answers that she has indicated she will only get when the review has been concluded.
Yeah, thank you very much, Speaker. I see, having been our finance minister and prime minister, you have an inclination of answering and assisting, which is a good thing. But I just want to caution that approach. It's coming from a good place, I understand.
Now, Honorable Member, on what point are you speaking now?
Speaker,
what is going on right now?
Speaker, I raised in terms of 136, right?
Which is?
When I raised on 136, I asked a specific question. And when I asked a specific question, the goalpost was changed to SACCO. I indicated that my question was on South Africa, not SACCO.
She has responded.
In the middle, what has happened, the Speaker attempted to answer.
No.
So
Honorable
what I'm
Member,
saying...
Okay, can you please take your seat now?
Yes, what I'm saying, Speaker...
Yeah, okay, can you please take your seat? Can you, because we don't really want to do that. It will not help us, that approach. The Minister has responded, and the presiding officer, when the presiding officer makes a ruling, we go by that ruling. Otherwise, if each person is to do what the Honourable Member is trying to do, we are not going to hear each other in the House. I know that you want an answer, and you don't want an answer. Yeah, no, I gave you the floor to ask a question, I gave you the floor to ask a follow-up question. But you don't speak every time you want to speak, you speak when you are given the floor by the presiding officer to speak. And you cannot, when you are not given the floor, just continue to speak. Yeah. So if you have an additional question, you pose, but not to, how do I say, to approve or disapprove the ruling of the Speaker. You may go ahead and pose an additional question if you have an additional question, seeking clarity on the area question that you posed.
I'm the person who would respect the rulings of the Speaker. I'm not here to disrupt the ruling, but I'm also not here to be bullied. So whenever you make a ruling, I would abide. I simply just raised, as I was proceeding now to my question, that I understand from a good place, but we shouldn't be providing answers on behalf of Minister. Maybe that might be an uncomfortable thing to say, but the intention was really to indicate that no, it must not become a habit. I'm willing to let it go.
Okay, you are out of order on that point. Yes. I have ruled. You can proceed with your next question.
That's all I said, Speaker. That's
you can continue with the next person.
Now, specifically...
You are out of order on the other one.
Now, Speaker, specifically on that, I'm willing to let that go so that it doesn't repeat itself again.
Yeah, no, you are out of order. It's out of order. Just continue with your next question.
Okay. So the ministerial statement was to announce the impact of the American tariffs on Namibia, right? That's what the minister indicated. I rose to ask the question that the tariffs of the United States were twofold. There were specific tariffs on targeted South Africa and the specific tariff targeting Namibia. Because we are pegged to the rand, the specific tariffs that were dedicated for South Africa would impact us. So the question therefore was, what is the impact of that intervention on South Africa, because we are pegged? So that's from that perspective that this question is being asked. So we know it's common cause that we are pegged. Yeah? So every time when the repo rate in South Africa drops or increases, a week later we'll do the same because of that pegging relation. It's an economic transaction that all of us know. So the question that is also being asked, that in that analysis, it could have also just be said that, oh no, we are going to look into it, or we don't have the answer now. But to divert the goalpost is a bit unfair. So I'm going to sit down, Speaker.
Yes, you have posed your question. I maintain that you were out of order. So I give the floor to the minister to respond.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I take notice of the valid interest of Honorable Ampata in this issue. I think we all know that the manner South Africa is impacted upon these tariffs is because of the exports in automobiles. That is really the major impact. How that will impact Namibia is a study that we are still going to do. And that's why I said that I came with a ministerial statement because of the interest of the public, and I'm sure also members, in this issue, just to allay the fears that government is seized with the matter. I agree with you, Honorable Speaker, that we will be coming back as developments unfold to keep the House informed. I thank you.
Yes, thank you. Now, there is another ministerial statement before I call upon the member to make the statement. I would like to indicate that when it comes to ministerial statements, ministers have up to 10 minutes to make their ministerial statements. Members have up to 3 minutes and they are to speak only once on a ministerial statement. And the minister in reply, the minister who made the statement, has 5 minutes to respond once. That is now in terms of Rule 85, time limits for debates and speeches. Now the next statement is one by the Honorable Veiko Nekundi, and he has the floor.
Thank you very much, Comrade Speaker, and good afternoon to all members of this august House. My statement is on the public passenger transport, and it's as follows. Comrade Speaker, honorable members, I rise to provide this honorable House, and through this honorable House, to the public, our most important citizens, with an update on the conversions of passenger transport road carrier permits, which have been issued indefinite to 2-year transitional renewable permits, pending finalization of the amendment of the Road Transportation Act of 1977. I'm not sure whether Honorable Mpanda was yeah, I understand. This reform aims to regularize and modernize the permit system to better reflect the current operational landscape of our passenger transport sector. The indefinite permits, some dating, I withdraw, some dating as far back as 1978, have posed significant administrative challenges, with many found to be inactive or held by operators who no longer have roadworthy vehicles or who no longer are in operation, but simply renting them out, which is an illegal arrangement. Further, Mr. Speaker, the current issuance regime has been manipulated to disadvantage the most disadvantaged, the downtrodden, in that a few clicks with no vehicles were issued with these licenses, and they then rent them out at fees ranging from 500 to 1,000 a month to the taxi owners, while those with vehicles applications were either turned down or never responded to, despite several follow-ups and appeals. Honorable members, in view of above abnormalities and the inconveniences against the downtrodden, the Ministry of Works and Transport, through its Transportation Board and Road Authority, have resolved for corrective measures in the interest of our people. As such, the following measures are put in place. 1. Permits will now only be issued in favor of persons who present vehicles intended to be used for transportation of passengers. 2. Permits will be issued in the name of the owner and the vehicles so designated. Permits will no longer be used as a trading commodity. Therefore, the deserving passenger vehicles owners will no longer have to depart with their hard-earned cash in the name of permit rental fees. 4. Subsequently, the rendered permits will surrender its validity. Those with indefinite permits have a window period ending 30th of September this year to convert their permits to the 2-year transitional permits pending the finalization of the amendment of the Transportation Act of 1977. 6. Those renting will be required to apply within the period ending 30 September 2025 and will continue to use such rented permits until they are issued with their own 2-year transitional permits. This is important to understand because if we do not do that, those operators currently renting would not be able to operate if we disrupt their operation in that fashion. Honorable members, the requirements to convert the indefinite permits to the 2-year transitional periods are original permits, valid motor vehicle license, certificate of registration of a vehicle, and certified copy of identity document. While the process to apply for the new permits, in relinquishing the rented permits, or acquire a new permit as a new operator are as follows, in accordance with the Transportation Act of 1977, which we are busy to amend and bring it to Parliament for amendment. There is a 1-month receipt period for application, 2nd month submission for publication in the Government Gazette, 3rd month public objections period of 21 days, 4. Both adjudication and finalization of decisions, applications are notified. The duration as it stands as per the current law is 4 to 5 months, which is really unacceptable. And therefore we are bringing it here for amendment. Honorable members, I must emphasize that permits conversions, where all required documents are submitted, are to be processed on the same day, ensuring minimal delays for compliance application. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Works and Transport remains committed to ensuring that our regulatory systems are responsive, efficient, and supportive of a well-functioning transport sector. The conventions of permits and amendments of the law go hand in hand in our efforts to modernize and streamline operations in the public transport space. Similarly, all our efforts and strategies are geared toward ground-based, impactful service delivery. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at the same time, I would also like to issue a very short statement in that as the Ministry of Works and Transport, we are mandated with the responsibility to construct and maintain the road transport infrastructures. In that context, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, there is a process that is undertaken before the road so-called to be constructed is being set up. First one, honorable Speaker, is that it starts on the base at the ground level, where the communities in each constituency identify the needs where the road to be constructed from point A to point B. From there, it then move up to the district to the regional level, where they then prioritize based on the needs as being identified by the constituencies. And then it comes to the national level. It's in that context, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, that I believe Honorable Panda have requested that I bring to this August House the full documents that contains all the roads as with the Ministry of Works and Transport, and I then brought it for Parliament for speakers for the desk to distribute to all the members. Thank you very much.
House will now rise until 16 hours. You will get the floor after that. I know, what is your problem? What is your problem?
security and from tourism, up to now, 35 years after independence, there is no single breach being fixed in that area. So we can receive these reports of roads, but when we are seeing that these roads are being done to favor certain areas, certain regions, certain people, and other people are left out, we would still call it what we can call it, that there is road apartheid. And I hope your new exuberance will bring equity in your ministry to build roads where they are needed, not where they must go. Thank you very much.
Honorable. Now, unfortunately, the screen is not giving me the names of the honorable members yet, so I'm struggling to know your names, remember your names, and call you by your names. But it's Honorable Kantaroto, is that so?
Yes. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Nekundi, all the best for your new provisions to ease the burden of the public road transport officers. I call it that way. Maybe just elaborate for the sake of the public out there, what is the standing of the ministry in relation to 7-seaters? Are they going to be officially given permit to transport from here to Walvis Bay, from Windhoek to Shiwarongo, Windhoek to Hopapes, Marindal, wherever they are going? So are they not going to be harassed any longer? Will they now be given the permit? Do they fully qualify for these new provisions? And again, airport transfers. There's kind of a cartel organized through the ministry and the existence beneficiary of airport transfer. For you to get the permit, it takes about even 2 years. You will hear the board sit only once, and the whole process is so cumbersome, it's long. So how do you plans to narrow down the process of airport transfer permit in particular? Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Now, I just want to remind the honorable members, I can see that there are 3 other members that are asking for the floor from this side, that we will start with the budget debate today. And those honorable members who are new and may not recall from the induction program, there is time allocated to political parties, and we have about 3 political parties that are to speak today, and they have specific time that is allocated to them. The House would rise at 17 hours and 45 minutes. Was it in 40 minutes? In 45 minutes, exactly. So it means that the more we delay the commencement with the budget debate, the more we are eating into the time for the budget. There is no extension. So I will call upon the members to take at least a minute to pose a question. Please, let's not make arguments. We ask questions in regard to the statement that was made by the minister, and each member would pose only 1 question and not 2. Yeah. Honorable Karangula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to perhaps pose a question to Honorable Minister of Works and Transport, as a shadow Minister of Works and Transport. Honorable Minister, just to be short, you mentioned that permits being traded between 500 to 1,000 monthly. Has your ministry conducted a formal investigation? Was the consultation done with the Regional Transport Association and Taxi Union? And were transport workers' voices meaningfully heard? Perhaps if you can just clarify on those.
Thank you very much, Honorable. You were very exemplary.
Yes.
I see there is another honorable member at the back. Oh, your light went off. What happened? Okay. So then I give to the honorable member there because his light is flicking. You may pose your questions, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
is mine.
Oh. Okay, the other mic is red. Honorable member, it means that the floor is with the honorable member Ndigara there because his mic is, his light is red. Honorable member, can you please take a seat for a moment? I see that there was another honorable member that was up for...
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I just want to make a small, not a question, but a comment from one important thing Honorable Nekundi have said. But before I say that, I want to indicate to this House that I am overwhelmed by the people of this country is so happy, they are happy about the appointment of this new cabinet. And I'm also very happy. No, wait. Honorable Speaker, today, Honorable Speaker, I was stopped twice in town. Hey, Honorable, they don't know my name. Hey, Honorable.
Okay, Honorable Member, you must ask your question. Thank you very much.
No.
I'm sure the members appreciate the compliment.
Yes, let me just finish, Honorable Speaker. Because one important thing, but that one I will say it another time, fine. One important thing Honorable Nekundi said, and I was looking for that all the time, is what is happening in government offices. People are tricky. They become tricky, and I'm happy that you unleash that. Because they will put a system in such a way that others must make business on behalf, and those who are supposed to make business.
Honorable Member, can you please just ask the question, eh?
No, I must be allowed to speak. Honorable Speaker.
Can Honorable Member please pose the question? I know. Honorable Member, I know.
Let me make my point.
Honorable Member,
yes.
I know that you have a lot of important things to say, but for now, the
only
floor...
one now is not many. Only one.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member. Honorable Member, can you please just put your question, eh? Because we are running behind. Just put your question.
No. Okay. No, I wanted to say that you see, if you go to government offices and you ask for help, the official help that most of the offices are supposed to do, they will say, oh no, that thing, the procedure will take too long, and you will wait. After 1 week, if you come and say, no, can I give you something? That particular thing which was to take long will be done immediately. And that is why me, when Honorable Nekundi was speaking, he's speaking those things, and can we, everyone in the... No, maybe I must say, because the people here, they are making noise. They are making noise. I need to be protected. They are making noise, and they must make sure that when they are speaking, that this side, they must not say all this side except Dingara.
Yes, Honorable Member, you have the floor. Is your mic not working?
Yeah, except Dingara.
Yes, you may please go ahead. Yes. Wait for the light.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the floor granted. I'm standing here just to have clarity on the proceedings in connection with Rule number 91, sub-rule 1 and 3. So, the Speaker has announced already that we will be engaged with the debate on budget. But then since each political party is given a certain amount of minutes, in particular, myself is given 10 minutes. Now, how do we
You don't have 10 minutes now. You don't have 10 minutes now. You have 3 minutes if you're asking a question to Honorable Nekundi. If you are up to contribute to the budget, I'll ask you to wait until we come to that point.
But it's for the matter of clarity regarding Rule 91 and the 10 minutes that's given to the budget input.
Okay, which party do you represent?
APP.
Okay, the table that I have here, it has 20 minutes for AR, 40 minutes for IPC, 20 minutes for PDM, and 85 minutes for SWAPO Party for today.
Yeah, but for the sake of clarity, before we come to the time of debating, because I never happen to say my maiden speech, which dictates that I have to speak for 15 minutes. Now, at the same time, I have to speak my maiden speech, which is dictate 15 minutes, and then
Can
the
we
10
talk
minutes
about
for...
that later? We are now having a ministerial statement on the floor, and people are asking questions on the ministerial statement. But it's an important query that you want to make. We will deal with it when we come to that point. Okay? Honorable Member, who will be the last, because we should truly conclude now and go to the main item for the day. Yeah.
The Honorable Ministers Nekundi, I think the first question I wanted to pose is emphasized by the Shadow Minister here. I will go straight to the second question. In terms, yes, modernization is very good. To modernize the system is very good, and we commend you for that. However, my question on behalf of the public member or whoever is affected is the implication involved, the financial implication involved. Suppose I had a permit and I must convert it, and I have already obliged the obligation by then, and this time around I must change it, I must convert it. Will this service be free of charge or yet to poke from my pocket? Thank you very much, Honorable.
Thank you. Now, Honorable Nekundi, according to the rules, you have not more than 5 minutes to answer the questions.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Let me start with the last one. When you are converting, it's for free of charge. D'accord. The next one, it's traffic penalties. Indeed, it's a matter under my radar. I have already instructed the policy, the unit responsible for regulations to start with a possible amendment on that particular law that is affecting the traffic fines. So I've already given that. The 7-seaters, yes, I had a meeting with the transportation board last week, and I have given them a directive, which they are already carrying it out. In fact, today or tomorrow, they will issue the public statement to everybody to inform them that the 7-seaters will now be permitted officially. No compromise about it, not negotiable. 7-seaters. So they will transport 7 people as the composition of a car is set up. And if you want a permit from here to Katima, you get it as a voting bill. No compromise about it. Reports on the roads. Yes, Honorable Venani, on the roads, just be prepared. Prepare your hands to clap the hands. It will be done as per the wish of the ordinary people. There will be no favoritisms. It will be done in accordance with the laid down procedures and the law that prevails. It must be emphasized, Honorable Member, that the Ministry of Works and Transport ought not only to look at economic roads. There are also social roads. They are also imperative. And the next principle that we are taking, it says, what drives economy? Is the road or is it the goods? So if there's no roads, can you see the economic part of it? You cannot. So therefore, we don't just look at the economic part of it. So be rest assured on that perspective. Okangwati Road, the contract ought not to be awarded by now. If it's not awarded, but very soon it must be awarded to start, and that also includes the bridges. And also next week also, I'm going to the Kunene north part also to investigate which other areas will require the overcross bridges. So I'm going that side. The airport and the time frame is the same regime. It's unfair. It was really corruption at the core happening there. It's under the same regime framework that this has been happening, and is what I'm exactly addressing with what I just read under the ministerial statement. There is no permits regulation on permits on the airport transfers. It's one regime. It's one law that prescribes. It's only individuals who wanted to make business out of the good intention of the law. The longer it takes, exactly. Currently, the law prescribes that it takes 4 to 5 months. And exactly, I have already instructed the colleagues to start with the process to do the amendment so that we remove this unnecessary. Why must we wait for 4 months just for an application? We'll bring it here. We only need your support. Then we shorten that provision. What else is asked? The shadow minister. I think your question was too shadow. Can you maybe? I didn't get it. I don't know why you were asking. It was shadow.
Coming on, can you hear me? Well, let me be clear, because I don't want to be an actual minister in your position.
Okay.
Let me be shadow enough so you can hear me. I would like to ask you, Honorable Minister of Works and Transport, you mentioned that the permits being traded between 500 and 1,000 monthly. You answered that, correct? Now I shall move just to ask what consultations were made with regards to the Regional Transport Association, and especially with the taxi unions, and where transport workers' voices meaningfully heard.
Thank you.
We need to answer that question as well, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Minister, may you respond, please?
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. It is very much imperative, and this government of His Excellency Netumbo emphasized on consultation. I will assure you already that we have already sent out invitations to the taxi associations, different one of them. The only one that currently we will not be able to, we have already sent out invitation and it was retracted because they were deregistered, that is NAMTA. But the rest, during the course of the week, we are going to consult with them. The issue of the tax permits, based on my ministerial statement, it's a long issue that has been coming, and I've been consulting with them for too long. But on the other issues, the consultation will be coming in the next 2 weeks. Tomorrow I'm consulting with the Road Authority. I think Monday I'm consulting with NAMPOT, and the same week I will consult with the 7-seaters and other associations pertaining to the transportation. All other stakeholders that are within the purview of the Ministry of Works and Transport mandate as inscribed by the terms of reference as indicated by the Excellency in the appointment authority to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, the Secretary will read the order of the day.
Resumption of debate on second reading appropriation bill.
Yeah. When the Assembly adjourned on Thursday, 27th March, the question before the Assembly was a motion by the Honourable Minister of Finance that the bill be read a second time. The Honourable Klute adjourned the debate, and now, before I give him the floor to speak, I would like to refer to Rule 91 that was being queried to say that for those members who would be making maiden speeches, the following are the rules that govern the maiden speeches. A member elected to the Assembly for the first time may not debate in the House until he or she has made his or her maiden speech. 2, a member making a maiden speech may not be interrupted for any reason by another member, including on a point of order. And 3, in making a maiden speech, a member may not speak for more than 15 minutes. Not that they may speak for at least 15 minutes, but not for more than 15 minutes. Yeah? And such maiden speech must not contain provocative and controversial statements. Now, having said that, I would like to indicate that for today, there is a time allocated, as you would have noted from the budget table that is circulated. There is 20 minutes for AR, 40 minutes for IPC, 20 minutes for PDM, and 85 minutes for SWAPO party. Now, the members who are making their maiden speeches would make their speeches within not more than 15 minutes, and that will be subject to this time that is allocated here for your party. So it means if you take 15 minutes, there would only be 5 minutes left for the other members of your party for the day. Now, having said that, you have one question, Honorable, for 1 minute. You have the floor.
Speaker, I am one of those members who intend to exercise Rule 91, to be very cooperative and to be of assistance. 4 or 5 days ago, I've already written to the Secretary to notify so that the Speaker and the table office is aware. What we are talking about is provided for in 85 and 91. The 15-minute, Speaker is correct, 15 minutes is provided for in terms of 91. But in terms of Rule 85, Speaker, the second reading of appropriation bill, the 10 minutes are provided for all the members. So they are not in any way mixed. So 91 for maiden speech has 15 minutes on its own, and 85 have 10 minutes for the specific members for that effect. I don't know how we will marry the two in accordance to what the Speaker is proposing, because it's going to pose a serious challenge.
Yes, thank you very much. I will clarify it as follows. As I have indicated, in regard to 91, the rule is saying 91 sub 3, a member may not speak for more than 15 minutes. It doesn't say a member is entitled to at least 15 minutes, not to more than 15 minutes. So it means that the minutes can be reduced to 5. In order, yes, and that is a ruling that the Speaker can make. We have these parties that must speak today, and we cannot say that the budget take precedence to the statements that we are making. I expect that when you make your statements, and that's a ruling I'm making, when we make your statements, you take into consideration the fact that there is a budget to be made, and it's a very important bill. Yeah, and that is why I was imposing the rule on the asking of questions that says members have 3 minutes and they are to speak only once. And we spent so much time arguing about second or third questions on the ministerial statement, unfortunately. So we are facing a time limit, and I don't think that we have a luxury to spend more time on other issues other than the budget. So I would like to give the floor to Honorable Klute to please make his contribution. You have the floor, Honorable Member. Honorable Klute. No, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm not able to take the question now. I give the floor to Honorable Klute. We are out of time, really. Honorable Klute, please take the floor. You don't have the floor, no interruption of maiden speeches. Go ahead, please. Go ahead, please.
This thing can't continue like this.
Honorable Klute, may you please proceed?
Honorable Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, fellow Namibians. It is with profound humility and responsibility that I stand before you today to deliver my maiden speech/debate contribution. I, Rodney Klute, will serve as the Chief Whip while shadowing the Ministry of International Relations and Trade for the official opposition, the Independent Patriots for Change. My journey to this chamber has been driven by a strong belief that Namibia has the potential to punch above its weight on the global stage. I thank the Almighty for granting me this opportunity. I also want to express my gratitude to all those who took time to vote and bring a new group of representatives to this important house. I acknowledge the leadership of the IPC and particularly the President of the IPC, Dr. Pantuleni Tula, for his guidance which emphasizes a constructive and rule-based approach. Honorable Speaker, looking at Namibia's national budget of 106.3 billion for the 2025-26 financial year, it tells a story about national priorities and difficult trade-offs. Personal expenditure alone takes an estimated 30 to 40 billion of the total budget. And to add to that, the debt servicing cost of around 13.7 billion. This reality creates a sobering narrative for ordinary Namibians. It's like a family spending almost half their income on household staff salaries, and paying interest on loans, leaving little for home improvements or investments. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of International Relations and Trade, formerly International Relations and Cooperation, serves as Namibia's face to the world. I note that the ministry has now been augmented with the Department of International Trade. This recognizes that diplomacy and trade must work hand in hand. As the new minister, Honorable Selma Shipala Musavi, rightly noted, this merger is an opportunity, and I quote her, to enhance our effectiveness in positioning Namibia as a competitive player in the region and on the global stage, close quote. The IPC also advocates an economic diplomacy approach where every diplomatic engagement should advance Namibia's economic interest. We are encouraged to see this. However, merging structures is the easy part. Delivering results is the true test. I recognize the government's allocation of 1.2 billion for the 2025-26 financial year to this ministry, with a total of 3.8 billion projected over MTEF. This represents a significant increase from the 964.9 million allocated in 2024-2025, largely due to the incorporation of trade functions into the new ministry's mandate. However, at just over 1% of the national budget, we must ask, is this allocation genuinely? Does it match? The strategic importance of international relations and trade for Namibia's development. Crucially, this budget must empower our economic diplomacy. Namibia's network of friendships spans east and west, north and south. We maintain diplomatic relations with around 150 countries, though we have resident missions in about 31 of them. These missions consume roughly 60% of the ministry's budget, much of it in foreign currency to pay rentals, utilities, and staff abroad. Plans to open an embassy in the United Arab Emirates were mentioned previously, which would strengthen ties in the Gulf, where trade and investment capital is abundant. The IPC supports smart expansion of our diplomatic footprint, only where it makes economic or strategic sense. Each new mission must pass a simple test. Will its benefits to Namibia outweigh its operating costs? If yes, proceed. If not, we should reconsider. Likewise, we should evaluate if some missions could be downsized or combined. For instance, one ambassador covering multiple smaller countries to save costs. Diplomacy is not about vanity or flag planting. It's about advancing the interest of Namibians, be it a business securing a contract or a student abroad receiving consular help. In this vein, I urge the Ministry to continue improving consular services and diaspora engagement. We have talented Namibians living abroad who can be assets in promoting trade and investment. Let's involve them as partners through formal diaspora networks. Honourable Speaker, we debate this budget at a time of turbulence in the global trade landscape, as was mentioned earlier. Recent reports confirm that the US President Donald Trump has imposed a 21% tariff on Namibian goods exported to the United States, effective April 9, 2025, as was mentioned. This measure, part of a broader protectionist trade policy, is aimed at addressing perceived trade imbalances and protecting the US manufacturing jobs. The US has specifically cited Namibia's 42% tariff on American goods as justification for this reciprocal measure. This tariff will directly impact our key exports, including diamonds, uranium, fish, and others like beef that were mentioned earlier. The economic implications are severe. Namibia exported goods worth approximately $5.1 billion to the US in 2024. These tariffs are expected to reduce the competitiveness of our products in the US market, potentially leading to a 10-20% drop in demand. And with AGOA set to expire in September 2025, these tariffs effectively nullify the duty-free access our exporters have enjoyed and put future preferential treatment at risk. What makes the situation even more challenging is the regional context. Other Southern African countries have also been hit with varying tariffs. Lesotho 50%, Botswana 37%, South Africa 30%, and Angola 32%. This uneven playing field will disrupt regional supply chains, complicate our trade relationships. The regional imbalances make the Africa Continental Free Trade Area even more critical to our trade strategy. Yet I could not locate specific allocations in this budget that targets the implementation of this free trade area, which represents one of the largest free trade areas in the world, with a market of 1.3 billion people and a combined GDP of 3.4 trillion. We asked the Honourable Minister to look into how this budget allocation will address this sudden and significant challenge from the US. Our exporters need immediate support, and our diplomatic corps needs clear direction on how to engage with the US administration. Honourable Speaker, critique without alternatives offers limited value. I therefore propose several constructive measures, and as the Minister earlier indicated, that are already being pursued, which is a good sign. The Ministry should engage with the US administration, if not already, to seek tariff reductions or exemptions for Namibian products, while coordinating with other affected African nations for a unified response. We must accelerate efforts to develop alternative markets in Europe, Asia, and with Africa through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to reduce our vulnerability to US trade policy changes. In future, we should assess whether dedicating roughly only 1% to international relations truly align with our ambition to grow Namibia's global economic footprint. Honourable Speaker, in conclusion, the budget for international relations and trade must be viewed not in isolation, but as part of our broader national priorities and trade-offs. As we navigate the challenges of high personnel costs, debt servicing, and new trade barriers, we must ensure that this ministry has the resources and strategic direction to protect and advance Namibia's interests on the global stage. The IBC stands ready to support initiatives that strengthen our international position and create opportunities for Namibian businesses, citizens abroad and locally. We will continue to provide constructive oversight and advocacy for a more ambitious and effective international relations and trade strategy. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Yes, before I call on the next person, I just want to inform the members, especially the new members, who are making maiden speeches, that you still need to press your button and ask for the floor. So because I'm following all the members that want to speak, even if they had notified the front desk in the Speaker's office, they still need to press the button because I'm following the list as it's showing here. So I just wanted everyone to know so that you are not surprised if you are not called. But the next person is Honourable Aupindi.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, honourable members. The 50-50 gender representation that the SWAPO party has championed has enabled Namibia to be one of the few countries where women can really flourish and become great. Because for centuries, women were denied their right to self-determination and emancipation.
I will explain after him.
And it is in that regard that I wish to congratulate the President of the Republic, Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, for being the first woman to ascend to the presidency of the Republic of Namibia. In the same vein, Honorable Speaker, I also congratulate the Vice President. I congratulate yourself, Honorable Speaker, being the first woman Speaker, and all the other women of excellencies that are in this chamber who have ascended to political offices. Congratulations, and may you live long. Now, I want to congratulate my comrade and friend, Erika Shafuda, on her presentation for the Appropriation Bill 2025-2026. This is happening when the global economy, the year has started off on a firm footing on the back of easing inflation, stability, improving financial conditions. Performance by the Namibian economy has been relatively very, very good, given where we are coming from. But nevertheless, the outlook is very fragile. According to economic indicators in 2025, the global economic outlook suggests a continuous, although slower growth trend, with steaming projection of 3.1% to 3.3% in terms of economic growth, below the general average. Now, but given that as it is, the key risk stems from some of which were already cited, especially in the minister's ministerial statement. Some of them were cited as first, the issue of policy instabilities, particularly coming out of the United States, where Canada and Mexico went to bed thinking that they are part of the common monetary area, common trade area, only to wake up that President Trump has instituted new tariffs on the imports from those countries. And the administration went on further to do the same on China, and last week we have seen it doing it to Sub-Saharan Africa, including Namibia at 21%. But having been that as it may be, growth in Sub-Saharan Africa is projected to strengthen to an average of 4.2%. This is particularly driven by improvement in the outlook for industrial commodity exporting countries, making Africa really, Sub-Saharan Africa, one of the best regions in terms of economic growth, given the time that we are in, the instabilities, particularly emanating from the war in the Middle East and the intervention by the Russian Republic in the Ukraine area. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, Namibia is confronted by these economic challenges that could derail the trajectory as already seen in the economic decline from 4.4% in 2023 to 3.7% in 2024. Nevertheless, the projection presented by the Minister shows that the economy is likely to recover much, much better from that little downturn. So our path of achieving economic growth is ever so fragile because of all these global economic trends that are happening. And as pragmatists, we are confronted by the dogmatic blueprint of that the global economic arena is very, very competitive, very ruthless, and careless about small economy. So, and as proof of this is cited by technological solutions that are usually in fashion today, especially powered by artificial intelligence, are usually out of date the next day. So we must therefore ensure that we confront the economic arena of our country. How do we do that? Some will think, of course, that any consequential change, Honorable Speaker, in the market economy has to be all of a sudden in a substitute of one system for another. I don't believe that. I believe that the change can be substantial but nevertheless gradual and experimental because we are an experimental democracy. And change must happen around the market economy. The structure of our economy must be confronted. Whether we understand it, whether we believe it, whether we like it or not, real change must happen around the organization of the market economy. Namibians don't own the market economy. So it is just not enough to regulate the market or to compensate the market for the inequality of the market through retrospective tax and transfer programs. Namibia is urgently seeking for a relentless alternative solutions which will give opportunities and instruments to the ordinary men and women in the informal settlement and rural communities. What we need is to reshape the market in its entire institutional context so that more people have access to these markets. I'll give you a case in point. For example, last year we were confronted by the issue in one of the standing committees by the famous red line, the veterinary condom fence. And we discussed it and we gave a recommendation, and I'm happy that the ministry concerned is actioning on that. Maybe not fast enough, but it is actioning on that. That's why I say, nevertheless, change must be substantial, gradual, and experimental. And the red line is a case in point because if you look at that red line, we are literally maintaining two economic systems in one republic. One for the commercial rich, and the other one for the communal poor. And that is just not acceptable. The opponent of these red lines are usually citing that the meat from the north of the condom fence is actually not safe, yet visitors to those regions, including tourists, continue to consume that meat. And no one has yet been reported dead. And I know that many of these are trying to protect the export market in Europe, the beef, Namibia's portion of the export market. And if that is really the case, then the issue of quarantine and enhanced improved efficiency must be instituted so that when it is instituted, there will then be that risk factor being eliminated. We will then have people being allowed to move their animal from the northern side of the red line into the commercial areas, however they want to move it, whether it's for commercial exploitation or for personal gain. Because people have access to their animal and are now being forced into an economic padlock. And as an interim measure, I feel we must be radical and investigate if the northern farming community can meet their own market demands. If this is the case, then we should also prevent meat from the commercial areas to be sold in the communal north until current discriminatory system is totally and completely abandoned. So the sudden, Mr. Speaker, the sudden reduction into SACU receipts with 6.9 billion to now standing at 21.1 billion, as the minister has cited, is worrisome, but it's not avoidable. So because of the prevailing economic situation. Nevertheless, the nations of SACU are to a large extent experiencing a new form of neocolonialism, emanating from the lack of equity in terms of production and industrialization, characterized by permanent innovation, often only one-sided. This form of neo-colonial productions are making other SACU economies highly uncompetitive and creating an industrial development imbalances. This innovative vanguard style of production is often confined to narrow vanguard of international economy, weakly connected to South Africa and the rest of humanity, and the larger part of the labor force within the SACU economy are excluded from this vanguard. And we need to really look at this issue, and we need to disseminate these advanced practices to the large part of the SACU economy in order to bring about equity and fairness. So I do recommend that the SACU agreement must be reviewed so that it creates fairness within the system. And as I move towards the closing of my statement, Madam Speaker, there is a correlation between public safety and economic growth. And I know that while Namibians are celebrating the massive discovery of oil play, the danger of the petroleum industry is ever looming near our country. I can forewarn that a strategic shift must be instituted to safeguard the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Because the current trajectories we are on is not sustainable. While oil players are investing, they are carrying out petroleum work programs, geophysical work program, and investment. The country's legal and policy framework, strategic plan, vision, and security has been lagging behind to match the the same level that the oil industry is matching it. This is clear and present danger. So Namibia needs to act now, and before it's too late. The decision by Her Excellency the President of the Republic to bring oil and gas into the Presidium is highly, highly commendable and long overdue. And I compliment the President for that. And more needs to be done so we avert the danger that the petroleum exploration and production usually imports into countries. Let's not lie to ourselves. Petroleum industry and exploration and production is serious business, and it does bring negative impact association with for example, resource wars, supply chain wars, petro-aggression, reckless diplomacy, adventurism, risky foreign policies, conflict, triggered by prospect of oil domination, clashes over control of oil transit routes, oil-related grievances, whereby the grievance of foreign workers in petro states help extremist groups to recruit locally. So these are some of the negativities, and I compliment the President for bringing that issue in her office, and I have no doubt that the President is going to do everything in her power to ensure that the management of our newly found economic viable petroleum resources is put on the trajectory where it will really add value, economic value, wealth, and empowerment to our people. So, Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleague, I'm happy that one of the budget pillars is the provision of yes. I still have 3 minutes. Yeah.
Time allocated may get 15 because they have up to 15. But according to the rules, 85(1), all members have 10 minutes. I think that was a mistake really by control room there. Every member gets 10 minutes. Yeah.
So can I continue, Honorable Speaker?
No, you are now over 10 minutes. You
Yes,
are now
I'm
like
concluding.
12 minutes.
I'm concluding, Honorable Speaker.
You are now 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Unless if you are just saying a
I
support
thought
to
you
the
were
bill.
saying Swapo has got...
No, but 10 minutes according to the rules.
85 minutes and 85 minus
No.
10 is 75.
Each member,
Yeah.
10 minutes each.
Okay, no, Honorable Speaker, with that, really, lastly, I just speak on the public debt. It is a clear and present danger. I'm happy that the Minister has put in mechanism to mitigate the public debt. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So that was a mistake of control room. Each member gets 10 minutes. Only a new member may be allowed up to 15, subject to the time allocated to their party, because we have to interpret the rules as a whole. Yeah. So now I have here it says 94. Who is 94? Because I don't see the mic. I see a red mic there. Yes. So the computers are still being set up. So here I have 92, 62. I don't know who is 62. But now, Madam Honorable Member, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I guess my name is now 94. But Honorable Speaker, Honorable Members, I rise today to the...
Yes, you may proceed, Honorable Member.
I think the Deputy Speaker is out of order. Honorable Speaker, I rise today to debate the 2025-2026 budget tabled by the Honorable Minister of Finance and Social Grants Management. While we acknowledge the need for fiscal discipline and commend the government's recent revenue mobilization efforts, particularly the enhanced tax administration and the deployment of digital tax tools, this budget falls woefully short of setting a decisive and transformative agenda for the new administration. It lacks the bold economic interventions necessary to tackle the deeply structural challenges facing our nation. One of the most glaring inconsistencies is the budget's failure to reflect the ministerial mergers announced by President Daitwa. The restructuring was announced as a measure to streamline government operations and improve fiscal efficiency. Yet, the estimates presented before us show no sign of consolidated funding. On the contrary, Honorable Speaker, allocations continue to be made to entities that no longer exist in their previous form. This raises fundamental questions about the alignment between executive decisions and fiscal planning. Are we financing ghost ministries Is this not fiscal recklessness masquerading as business as usual? Honorable Speaker, it is no secret that this budget was rushed. That much is evident. But perhaps the more constructive conversation we should be having is how, from a legislative standpoint, we can ensure that future transitions between administrations do not compromise the integrity and strategic alignment of the national budget. A 3 to 4 month period between national elections and the swearing in of members of parliament and the new head of state is, quite frankly, Honorable Speaker, too long. During this time, critical decisions ought to have been made, including the formulation of the national budget, an exercise that defines our country's economic priorities and developmental trajectory. The distribution of the national purse is not a procedural formality. It is not a by-the-way issue. It is a deliberate economic intervention. It is the most powerful tool at our disposal to chart the course of nation building, address inequality, stimulate growth, and deliver services. Honorable Speaker, when a new administration assumes office, it must have the time, it must have the mandate, and it must have the institutional support to craft a budget that reflects its policy vision. Rushing this process not only undermines transparency and accountability, but it also severely limits the capacity of the new government to effect meaningful change. There is therefore a need to revisit, Honourable Speaker, the constitutional and legislative frameworks governing this transitional period to safeguard the integrity of future budgetary processes. Honourable members of this August House, equally troubling is the absence of a dedicated allocation for the Asset Management Agency announced by President Nandi Ndaitwah. While the idea of centralizing and professionally managing government assets is welcome, the credibility of this proposal is undermined by the lack of clear budgetary provisions for its establishment and operations. Are we once again, Honourable Speaker, are we once again witnessing a grand announcement without financial means or political will to follow through? Institutions of this scale require resourcing, staffing, and legislative frameworks. This budget provides no such clarity, only ambiguity. Honourable Speaker, on the issue of housing, we cannot ignore the grim reality facing thousands of Namibians. Rent prices are skyrocketing across the country, and home ownership remains a distant dream for many. A nation where citizens cannot afford shelter is a nation stumbling on the edge of social collapse. We need structural solutions, increased housing subsidies, incentives for developers of low-cost housing, and state-supported access to mortgage finance for first-time buyers. We are yet to see, Honourable Speaker, defined actions that could help regulate and stabilize excessive rental increases, particularly in urban centres. Honourable Speaker, honourable members, this budget also fails to address the economic plight of the youth. Former Minister Shimi introduced the 121 constituency fund for youth-led SMEs, introduced as a necessary intervention aimed at decentralizing support and boosting micro-entrepreneurship. This budget makes no mention of tailor-made projects that will absorb the unemployed. Instead, youth unemployment, which remains at over 50%, is relegated to vague rhetoric. There is no targeted funding, no entrepreneurial stimulus, no job creation plan tailored to the realities faced by our young people. The consequences, Honourable Speaker, of ignoring our youth will haunt this nation for generations. When will this administration introduce a youth employment tax incentive where companies that hire young job seekers are offered tax breaks? TPAC, the 121 SME constituency fund, very well thought out, very wonderful initiatives that ended up wonderfully dead. Moreover, Honourable Speaker, there is the urgent issue of the National Youth Council. Year after year, the Auditor General has flagged financial irregularities and unaccounted funds. We can no longer turn a blind eye. It would be remiss of me not to call for a commission of inquiry to investigate the financial management of this institution. Youth-focused structures must embody accountability and transparency or risk becoming instruments of patronage and decay. Honourable members, let us now turn attention to the development budget. The execution rate of just 67.5 in the previous fiscal year is deeply concerning. How can we claim to be investing in growth and infrastructure when a third of the budgeted funds are left untouched? The development budget is the primary tool for stimulating the economy, improving social services, and addressing spatial inequality. Delays in project implementation, procurement bottlenecks, and a lack of capacity at subnational levels must be addressed as a matter of urgency. Budgeting alone does not build roads, it does not build hospitals or classrooms. Execution does, Honourable Speaker. As a country, we have consistently failed to meet our development spending targets despite increasing nominal allocations. The slow procurement processes, overlapping mandates between ministries, and weak interagency coordination are chief culprits. I therefore ask the Minister directly, thank you, what reforms are being implemented to address these weaknesses? How do we expect investors and citizens alike to trust the state's ability to deliver year after year? The development budget underperforms. On fiscal policy, Honourable Speaker, I see my time is running out. While we welcome the narrowing of the fiscal deficit from 8.5% in the 2020-2021 to an estimated 3.4% in the financial year 2024-2025, we must interrogate the quality of this consolidation. Are we cutting, Honourable Minister, and perhaps also Honourable Shimi, are we cutting where it hurts the poor the most? Are we achieving sustainability by shrinking the state's developmental capacity? Austerity without strategic investment is economic vandalism. Fiscal discipline should never be pursued at the expense of human dignity, food security, and employment. Honourable Speaker, I'm rounding up. The issue of policy consistency must be addressed also. Investors and economic actors operate on expectations and predictability. Constant shifts in direction, be it on taxation, procurement policy, or sectoral priorities, creates confusion and deters investment. Uncertainty in fiscal and industrial policy is one of the leading causes of Namibia's poor private investment performance. It is time for a multi-year, Honourable Speaker, I'm proposing a multi-year economic roadmap that transcends political cycles, one that prioritizes key sectors and ensures regulatory stability. Additionally, we must also shine light on the issue of debt. While the budget outlines a reduction in the debt to GDP ratio to 69.8%, the actual debt servicing costs are escalating, now projected at 12.3 billion annually. That is money we're not investing in our people. Every dollar spent on debt interest is a dollar taken away from health, a dollar taken away from education and agriculture. Without a clear debt management strategy that prioritizes concessional borrowing and domestic investment stimulation, this trajectory is unsustainable. Honourable Speaker, I see I'm out of time, so I'll just skip to the conclusion. In summary, Honourable Speaker, this is a budget of cautious maintenance, not bold transformation. It misses the opportunity to signal a new dawn under a new administration. Our people, Honourable Speaker, are calling for leadership that is courageous, that is solution-oriented, that is unafraid to disrupt the status quo. We are not here to rubber stamp stagnation. We are here to advocate for a new economic order, one that places our people, especially the most vulnerable, at the center.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I have to try and fit everyone within the time. Now I recognize the Honourable Member from the AR. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's him who's speaking.
Which is it, Honourable Ampanda or the other member?
It's myself.
Honourable Ampanda, which one of you sought ask for the floor?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe you can just.
I can go ahead.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, I can go ahead, Speaker.
I beg your pardon?
I can go ahead.
No, I'm asking which one of you asked for the floor because she put up her hand, the colleague next to you.
Yes, Honourable Lampanda will speak now.
Yeah, okay, next time you don't do that. Everybody ask for the floor themselves. So, yeah. Okay, Honourable Member, you may take the floor.
Thank you very much. Umkwaniwa Kambode Kampingana took over Ondonga throne on 27 September 1884 following the death of Umkwaniwa Itana Lenkwu the previous day. He quickly aligned himself with Boaz, who visited his palace. On 21 April 1885, he sold a piece of land known as Oshandashongwe, measuring 2,500 square kilometers in present-day Otavi and Grootfontein, to a Boer trader called William Jordan for 300 British pounds, 25 rifles, 1 ox and barrel of gin. His younger brother, Neharijampingana Onjio Makombo, Neharajandengunanu Congo, was unhappy about his leadership. In a bid to resolve the conflict between the brothers, Pingana Ashimbu and his wife Nampara Wanangobe gave young Nehale his own ward at Utumbe, distant from his brother's capital. When he arrived at the designated area, he instructed his delegation to instead go to Oshitambi. Nehale affirmatively repossessed Eastern Ondonga and proclaimed it his kingdom, with the capital at Onaina. Western Ondonga, that was left under King Kambonde, became known as Onamayongo. In 1885, Jordan proclaimed the area the Republic of Appingtonia, named after Prime Minister of the Cape Colony, Thomas Appington. In 1886, Nehale attacked, killing Jordan and making the end of the so-called Republic of Appingtonia. From 1904 and 1908, various communities, particularly in central and southern Namibia, stood up against German colonial forces. Nehale was not left behind. On 28 January 1904, he launched a surprise attack on the German fort at Amtuni Jomanenge, wrongly called Namtuni today, forcing the Germans to retreat and abandon the fort. No settler advanced further to occupy land and set up commercial farms as they did in other parts of the country through mass murder, rape, and violent acts. History thus teaches us that the oppressor always succeeds through local agents in power. Nehale teaches us testicular fortitude in the protection of collective interest. He also teaches us the duties of revolutionaries to provide alternative paths to freedom. Nehale, though youthful, was guided by the elders such as Ampanda Washponeni, Shivute Shanjongoro, Nampara Guamomo, and many others. From them, the fortitude and capabilities matters more than age. We enter the 8th Parliament standing on the shoulders and inspired by his testicular fortitude. In the 1940s, Martin Yashikoto, who became Ondonga king in 1960, took beautiful Wanale Nampara as his wife. Wanale's mother, Yeshiwa Yashindongo, died when she was very young. It was thus her father and grandfather who oversaw the marriage meeting. Wanale was unhappy with the marriage. She says, Otwali moenji twafa ikombo, we were many like goats. Katrina Kaleonard, who was one of the 7 wives, was a relative from the Akwanija clan. She ran away to hide with her relatives in Okwanyama. A circus of running away and capture continued several times until mighty men gave up. She then settled in Ekojanambo and got married to Adolf Irianda Fenongo. Wanale and Adolf's daughter, Wandolo, married Ndakola Inukwa Shivudi Nomarala. Getting married into a royal family meant access to opulence and treated with loyalty. This didn't matter. The principle and her discomfort with being married to the same man with Omwaina, a close relative, mattered more. Wanale's journey hitherto provides important lessons that principle must always be above the stomach. I spoke to her this morning and she remained maintaining the above. 100 plus years later, she remembers the days and actors with precision. I entered this 8th Parliament standing on a shoulder and inspired by her principles and courage. Ndakola Inukwa Shivudi was a freedom fighter operating underground and transporting freedom fighters into exile. One night in 1979, the operatives came to get him in the middle of the night. His wife, Wandolo, was breastfeeding her youngest daughter named No Surrender. Ndakola hasn't come back after 46 years. No one is sure if he's alive or dead. At age 32, he prepared for his departure, both symbolically and in action. He told his wife, Tiopo hikasa inokonjira inimayantu, cautioning his wife to avoid inheritance feud with his in-laws. His caution was accompanied by the land he prepared for his wife and children. His wife resides on this land today with her children and grandchildren. When Ndakola disappeared and never returned, his wife was only 29 years old with 7 children. He teaches us fearlessness, preparedness, and sacrifices. I stand on his shoulders, inspired to fulfill our generational mission. Aune Kashimbi Jola, the firstborn of Wandoro and Ndakola, was only 10 years old when her father left, never to return on that fateful night in 1979. She enjoyed the life of poverty with her 29-year-old mother and her 6 siblings. She joined her mother in selling goods to make ends meet. She was never employed by anyone. She paid for the education of her sibling and her 2 sons. In 2025, people still ask if she's the real mother of her son. Her response is always the same, Moka Hawadina Munga Munandiba. She's her son's biggest fan. Aune Kashimbi Njola is an embodiment of determination, commitment, and love. The mothers selling clothes should know that nothing prevents their children from becoming university professors. I come to the 8th Parliament standing on her shoulders, inspired to fulfill the generational mission. In 2006, I came to the University of Namibia to read for my first degree. Although I was accustomed to student leadership, having become a deputy head boy at Ipumbo at 14, leading a 20-year-old, I got introduced to radical politics at UNAM, where I met Wise Emmanuel and Achi Shipanga. We one day woke up to a circular by the Vice-Chancellor singling and isolating Wise and Achi, our informal leaders. Those recruited by management proclaimed the burial of Wise and Achi. They were mistaken. Achi wrote a circular pasted all over campus stating that he wouldn't surrender. Part of the circular read, "Even the highest office in the land can be challenged." I was so proud and inspired by Achi and Wise. They, in the process, challenged President Nuyoma, then UNAM Chancellor. It is thus wonderful seeing Wise rise to his rightful place, becoming a Minister of Justice and Labour Relations. Corporate circles had softened him. I hope for the return of Wise the revolutionary. Kadiba Ngipondoka, our SRC president, was so articulate and spoke with clarity of purpose. She had a unique posture and strategy. As I listened to her, I wondered if I would one day be as articulate. I'm not sure if this has been achieved. Long story short, I joined the SRC in 2008 and became the SRC president in 2009. To Wise, Achi, and Kadiba and others, in case you are not aware, you inspired and shaped my politics. Although we met during student years, I worked closely with Dr. Chitunga Ngurare from 2011 upon my return from South Africa. We served in the Youth League. I was spokesperson and he was secretary. We successfully and unsuccessfully sought to transform the former liberation movement to tilt to the left and solve the most basic challenges of our people. The capitalist faction moved fast to liquidate and quarantine us. The situation became untenable. I decided to pursue alternative path to freedom outside the league. With Dimbrukeni Nayoma and George Kambala, the faction suspended and expelled us. Unlike others, Dr. Ngurare did not abandon us. This will cost him later as he was attached to our expulsion. The capitalist faction believed that he was the engineer of all our activities, a tragedy of imagination. I once drafted a letter to President Pohamba to exonerate him. The mistake I made was to share the letter with him. He took the letter and tore it up. He basically refused a passport and a visa to good books at Clubhouse. I always felt that I brought problems and trouble to him. They unplugged him from all economic sources, including boards not linked to the party. They wanted to squeeze him so that he would come back crawling and begging for mercy. He did not surrender nor sell his soul. He remained in the wilderness, saying oxygen is provided only by God. When he landed a job as a director of water, we had a discussion. This statement stayed with me today. It was tough, comma. Your children want you to buy them things you cannot afford, and you can't say you can't afford. I do not claim that he's a saint. He is, after all, a politician in a party that devours his own children. This is a human reflection of a son of Africa and Namibia, born of the Kavango prison, a leader who shaped my politics and stood by me in difficult times. He sacrificed his career for me and other youth. That he is now Prime Minister and we strangely reunite here again is testament to both perseverance, strategy, and dignity. These stories deserve a separate reflection in the fullness of time. Bernardo Swartboy inspired us during his time in the Youth League and later days of LPM. McHenry Venani joined this parliament in his younger days, debating formidable freedom fighters who never failed to use DTA's past to dismiss him. But he never wavered. The same freedom fighters sing his praises today. His journey is inspiring. I wish I had an opportunity to know Hidipo Hamtenya, a political scientist and a tactful politician. In recent discussion with his two sons, Kela and Eric Hamtenya, on a bus, I told them how their father politics intrigued me. I hope they are taking up the task of writing his comprehensive history as Nelson Kalangula did for his grandfather. Former Speaker Theo Ben-Gurion gave his wise advice during difficult times. He wanted me to join diplomacy. Helmut Angula taught me things I must avoid in politics, including a strategy used by opponents called early elimination. Former Prime Minister Nana Angula was instrumental in offering an escape route. He is one who advised that I retreat into full-time academia. For he saw a powerful mob determined to cut our throat. I took his advice, the rest is history. Many other veterans shaped our politics and I'm grateful. Why are colonial laws, habits, and instruments such as 1896 Red Line still dominant today? The truth is, even the best soldier, talented fighter, and astute commander gets old and tired. His bravery and glory days become memories and stories. Those who believe otherwise need to this line by South African political scientist Prince Mashere. What is more important is to accept that what is gone is gone. The children who refuse to leave the graveside after burying their father, who was a breadwinner, are bound to succumb to starvation. It doesn't matter how violent you sob, the dead will never return. If Mashele doesn't deliver, Raymond Rellington from the series The Blacklist may assist. Listen to him. Things end. Sometimes, despite our best efforts and best intention, or sometimes because of those efforts and intention, things end. So something else can begin. If Mashele and Rellington are unhelpful, let us bring in talented musicians.
Can I say something quickly? You have now exceeded your 15 minutes, but because your party has 20 minutes, I allow you to use the remainder of your party's time.
It's 10.
It's actually 10 right at the time.
Oh, is it 10?
Yes.
Oh, they are only adding 5 now. Oh, I see.
So,
okay.
so
they were supposed to put 15 for you because it's a maiden speech.
Yes.
Very good. Okay.
So we have a timer also. What do we do with this few minutes now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we have it covered. Eh? Okay. So, if Mashele doesn't assist, Raymond Rellington from the series Blacklist may assist. Listen to him. Things end. Sometimes, despite our best effort and best intention, or sometimes because of these efforts and intention, things end. So something else can begin. If Mashele and Rellington are unhelpful, let us bring in talented musician Young T. In his song, The Feeling is Mutual, he sings. Akulunuve totompandula, oshirongo shetomwe shimangulula, marakucha, esh. Vamenyonye, tanungu mashini tamtapula. Anyanya magulu na protectwe, odwengudi dashumbula, anyanya magulu na yalongekidwe, oshiwana shokomongula, anyanya magulu ya haro transparency, anyanya magulu ya haro opportunity, anyanya magulu ya hara mupasingo touch, vashiwe vakatukile koko legacy. The armed soldier has fulfilled his historic mission, and for that we remain deeply grateful. But today we must ask, does this great soldier in his institution still serve as the most relevant instrument for the addressing our current challenges? In 2014, we responded to that question by picking up the spear, not to replicate the past, but to carry forward the renewed struggle for transformed society. We honor the legacy, but we are not going to stay at the graveside. I'm afraid I might not be able to. So, properly explained, colonialism is an occupation, control, and domination of a sovereign people by a foreign power. Independence was meant to end the occupation, this control and domination. Yet, decades after, the physical occupation is only the physical occupation have ended. I'll jump here because it might be a bit of time. We stand today in a shadow of a deeply contradictory economy, with a small population with a high unemployment rate. Agriculture sector is the largest employer, but only contributing 6% to our GDP. Billions goes to higher education, yet we have fewer than 70,000 professionals, representing 12.5% of the labor force. We are the third largest producer of uranium, yet importing electricity from Zambia and South Africa. We are an upper middle income economy where 80% of our economy is controlled by whites, who are 6% of the population. So we desire a developmental state. We do not regret being on these benches. We are not afraid to face our own mentors. We are a hot iron on which no minister will sit on, a small axe ready to chop a big tree. We are not born to oppose. We are also not born to support. We are here to fulfill a generational mission. Where is needed, we will assist. We don't mind getting dirty for Namibia. We will also push the wheelbarrows if needs be. The musical group PDK prepared us with their powerful song titled Ngekwashi. Omeomea kumengoke haitekwa. Ngero gakaka atugathindi, ngero genuziwo atugafurukita, ngero mapsu atugetagapore. To us, Namibia is like water the PDK sings. When the systems are dirty, we'll clean them. When the policies are toxic, we'll detoxify them. When the political temperature is high, we'll wait for it to cool down. But we'll never give up on our country. Long live the wonderful people of Namibia. Long live the Republic of Namibia. Long live the formidable AR. Speaker, I now turn to, with the time that is left, of the party to enter to the debate and contribution to that. So the documents that we have received, Honourable Speaker, has 3 sets. The first set is the fiscal policy, is fiscal strategy. The second one...
Honourable member, a member making a maiden speech has up to 15 minutes. Ne? Yeah, only up to 15 minutes. You have made your statement for 15 minutes. Are you saying now you are taking the time again that remains for AR as a budget contribution, because there is a limit of 10 minutes per member?
Yes.
That's 10 minutes per member.
Yes, I understand, Speaker. That's what I intend to do. What we have decided is that I'm going to utilize that
No,
budget
that's
debate.
not what we decided.
No, we are saying, you indicated to us that there's 20 minutes allocated.
Yeah, okay.
For AR.
Can I just explain? Maybe if you just take a seat. There is a 20 time allocated for AR, but the rule is saying during a budget debate, each member gets 10 minutes. So there is no, I don't think you cannot exceed the 10 minutes because there are other parties that must speak, and those parties may not all have time to use up their time because we have used a lot of time in the beginning. So we have to be equitable in terms of the allocation of the time. Yeah, so I have covered your maiden speech of 15 minutes. Now I have to give to the next party their 10 minutes. AR can ask for the floor again, but the maiden, you cannot make a maiden speech and add another time on top of that.
Racing.
Yeah, no, I heard you.
Yes, so I'm not asking for 20 minutes.
No, I know,
I'm just saying within that.
I hear you, but I have to be equitable because we are not going to have all the parties speak today, and it will not be fair to do what you are requesting on my part.
Okay.
So may I request that you please take your seat so that I can take the next person,
Okay, just so that I can understand. So you are saying we can request for the floor again.
Yes.
For that contribution in line with the allocated time.
Yes, if it is not yet knock-off time.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Now the next person, thank you very much, Honorable. The next person is the Honorable Samukwa, and I'm reminded of Rule 230, sub 1. It says the language of the assembly is English. Those that want to speak in vernacular, I think there is another arrangement there. That is just so that every person that is following this debate is able to understand. Remember the reminder I gave, we are now representing the whole of Namibia once we are here. Now, Honorable Samuko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Members of Parliament. My name is Austin Samukwa, representing the SWAPO party in this House. Firstly, let me recognize my mother, who is in Nongozi village at the moment, for raising me up and for making sure that I join this House at this time. And my father, who has since departed and not here, in absentia, may his soul continue to rest in peace. Honorable Speaker, it is with a deep sense of humility and great pride that I stand before you today as a newly appointed Member of Parliament. I do so not only to fulfill the responsibilities entrusted to me by the Namibian people that I represent, but also to honor the promises of our government under the leadership of Her Excellency President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah of the Republic of Namibia. Today marks the beginning of my contributions to this Parliament for the next 5 years, during which I vow to work relentlessly for the prosperity of Namibia's citizens, particularly our youth, our rural communities, and our underserved populations. Honorable Speaker, I undertake to initiate and support legislative laws that are aimed at removing bureaucracies and obstacles to delivering services efficiently and effectively to all Namibians. In this maiden speech, Honorable Speaker, I want to speak directly to the challenges we face and the vision I have to overcome them. I will focus on 4 core issues that are at the heart of my work as a parliamentarian. Number 1, job creation for the youth. Number 2, the provision of basic housing and amenities. 3, improvement of our education system. And lastly, the boosting of the rural economy. These areas are critical in moving Namibia forward and ensuring that every Namibian has the opportunity to live a dignified life. Honorable Speaker, allow me to zero in on each of these matters that I have raised above. Number one, job creation for the youth. We live in a country where more than 40% of our youth are unemployed, and many of them are struggling to find employment opportunities. This employment crisis, particularly among our youth population, is not only an economic challenge, it is a social and moral one. It is a crisis that threatens the future of our nation, but I stand before you with a commitment to working with my fellow parliamentarians to create an environment where the youth of Namibia can thrive. Any laws that stand in the way of youth unemployment, or youth employment rather, we are going to deal with those laws with the speed that it requires. So we are waiting for the Minister for Justice to table that so that it can be easier for us to employ our youth. I will speak strongly on the need for job creation and skills development for the youth, and also call for the establishment of economic opportunities that focus on the sectors that matter most to the future of our country, namely agriculture, technology, tourism, and renewable energy. These are the sectors where we can and must create jobs. I'll be a vocal advocate for policies that support the creation of small and medium enterprises, innovation hubs, and technical training programs, so that our young people are not just looking for jobs, but are empowered to create jobs, to build businesses, and to shape their own futures. The government has shown a commitment to this by establishing initiatives such as the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, and as a parliamentarian, I will push for further investments in programs that provide mentorship, business incubation, and affordable finance for young entrepreneurs. We must empower our youth not only through education but through economic independence. Honorable Speaker, I come to number two, which is providing housing and amenities. Housing is a basic human right, and yet too many Namibians, particularly in rural areas, are living without adequate shelter, water, sanitation, and electricity. Access to basic amenities is essential for the dignity and well-being of our citizens. This is especially true to those living in rural areas. And as I was zooming in the budget for urban and rural, I've seen that a budget has been allocated in the medium-term expenditure framework. So I thank the Minister for Finance for doing that. I strongly emphasize the provision of affordable housing and infrastructure as a key pillar of our national development agenda, as well as advocate for the construction of affordable houses, focusing on social housing and rural electrification. I pledge to work with fellow parliamentarians to accelerate the pace of housing construction. Let me go to education, improving education for all. Honorable Speaker, there is no greater investment a country can make than in the education of its children. Education is the key that unlocks the door to prosperity. It's my maiden speech, so you should understand. Yet, despite significant improvements in access to education, the results have not been what the nation expects. Namibia continues to face challenges in improving literacy, numeracy, and overall education outcomes. I will place education at the heart of the national development and emphasize the need to improve the quality of education at all levels. And in this instance, I also want to support what is proposed in the budget, where the funding formula will fully be implemented starting now. As a parliamentarian, I will advocate for policies that prioritize education reform and ensure that resources are directed to the areas where they are most needed, such as teacher continuous professional development, the provision of teaching and learning materials, and the improvement of school infrastructure. I skip some because of my time, and talk to boosting rural economy. Honorable Speaker, the rural economy is the backbone of Namibia. It is in rural areas where we find some of the most hardworking, resourceful, and entrepreneurial people in our country. Yet, too often than not, rural Namibia is left out of the economic conversation. Agriculture, which is the primary source of livelihood for so many Namibians, faces multiple challenges: drought, land degradation, and a lack of access to markets. We can only boost rural economy if we place a budget in the hands of the leadership that was freely elected by the people, the constituency councillors. I will therefore call on the speedy finalization and implementation of the Constituency Development Fund. Before I conclude, let me make a few remarks on the budget. And they are as follows. Number one, I have noticed that our budget, and rightly so, places our economy's growth is projected to remain steadfast and broad-based. And congratulations to the Minister of Finance. And the second one is that government has committed to employing measures to diversify the economy, which I totally agree with. I stand before the Namibian nation as a servant of the people, committed to the ideals of equality, justice, and I remain relentless in advocating for the issues that matter to the Namibian people: job creation for the youth, affordable housing, education, and rural development. Honorable Speaker, I support the budget. I thank you very much.
Thank you. In time, well within the time. Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Ita.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, I stand before this esteemed House today with a profound gratitude and a deep sense of honor as I address you for the first time as a duly elected representative of the people of Namibia. This moment fills me with an immense privilege and responsibility as I reflect upon the trust and hope of our citizens who have placed their confidence in me by electing me to serve in this august House. First and foremost, I express my gratitude to the Almighty God for His protection throughout my journey. I also wish to extend my sincere appreciation to my political home, SWAPO Party, which has provided me with a platform to serve, a platform to promote justice, and to contribute to our national development. To my family, I owe my deepest gratitude to their unwavering support and strength. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, I stand here as an individual, not just as an individual, but as a voice for the diverse people of Namibia that have long yearned for development, dignity, and effective representation. I carry into this chamber their lived reality, their story of perseverance, their struggle, and their aspiration. Many of them are farmers, and many of them are workers, entrepreneurs, students, veterans, and caregivers. Their collective expectations are clear. They seek tangible action, equal distribution of natural resources, unwavering integrity, and meaningful results. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, as I embark on this journey, I am reminded of the fundamental role of Parliament, that is the heartbeat of our democracy, a place where laws are made, policies are shaped, and the voice of the people are resonant. I preach to uphold the principle of justice, accountability, and good governance in all my contributions. Honorable Speaker, honorable member, I preach to conduct my work in this august House with diligence, humility, and respect for all honorable members across the party lines. Our debate must be robust, yet respectful. Our difference of opinion must be guided by the singular goals of crafting policy that are responsible for the reality on the ground. Turning to the important matter before us in this House, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the appropriation bill demands our esteem and meticulous consideration. This bill is not a mere physical allocation. It is a reflection of our collective vision in national development, social progress, and economic stability. It is a financial instrument that seeks to translate policy to action and aspiration into reality. The allocation to critical sectors such as education, health, agriculture, and youth empowerment are investments in the prosperity of our nation. In this regard, Honorable Speaker, honorable member, I would particularly like to urge to the Honorable Minister of Finance and Social Grant Management and the Honorable Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs to consider slightly increased allocation to the portfolio of Veteran Affairs. It is an obligation upon us to ensure that those who fought for the freedom we enjoy today are not left behind. Let us honor their sacrifice, not just with words, but with deeds that advance the cause of justice, fairness, and national unity. Honorable Speaker, honorable member, we must acknowledge that our nation is facing economic challenges, which are further worsened by global instability. However, this bill represents a commitment to fiscal discipline, ensuring that every dollar spent is directed towards sustainable growth and poverty alleviation. The emphasis on accountability and transparency in public spending must remain paramount, as it is our duty to safeguard the interests of our citizens. As a custodians of the public trust, let us remain ever mindful that the public fund belongs to the people. Our decision must reflect this with a clear focus on improving lives and fostering resilience across our nations. Let us remember always that the true historic strength of this august House lies not within its wall, but in the positive lasting impact of its decision on our people. With this regard, Honorable Speaker, honorable member, I pledge my full support to the 2025-2026 appropriation bill, and I urge my fellow honorable member to do the same in the interest of our nation and our people. Honorable Speaker, honorable member, I thank you.
Thank you, honorable member. Now we have about 5 minutes before knock-off time, but we have someone who is asking for the floor. It's Honorable Jenny Matundu, and she has the floor.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I rise to add my words to those who have contributed to the second reading debate as tabled by the Finance Minister and Social Grant Management, Honorable Erica Shafuta, under the theme Beyond 35 for a Prosperous Future. From the outset, Honorable Speaker, allow me to congratulate Honorable Shafuta and her entire team for presenting a forward-looking budget during this time of the year where the country is recovering from the COVID-19 post-pandemic. My special thanks will also go to her predecessor, Honorable Shimi, and his entire team. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, for the interest of time, I will not dwell much on the congratulatory messages, but let me single out to congratulate the first female Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Dr. Sarah Kugongelwa Madila, who assumed her duties as Speaker of this August House. Madam Speaker, you will have our support. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, for the interest of time, I would not want to repeat mentioning the figures tabled by the Minister as per the 2025-2026 financial year budget. Honorable Minister of Finance and Social Grant Management, your people has listened to you with keen interest when you were presenting your motivation speech that you have delivered in this House on the 27th of March 2025. Exactly 2 days after you have tabled the budget motivation in the August House, I have received numerous calls from the youth in Kunene region. The youth has informed me that I should convey their message that the conversation you had with a community member who happened to be a youth of the Dripmuses in your Maheke region is also their wish, as they have been trying hard to start up businesses, but they lack the starting capital. They were glad to hear that the table budget will provide an answer to their call. Therefore, I urge the youth to take this opportunity and approach various institutions who are mandated with programs for youth development to acquire funds that will help them establish their microeconomic businesses. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, President of the Republic of Namibia, will always guide us at the then Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation as far as the allocated budget is concerned, with the slogan that says, do more with less. It is against this background to note that the budget is all about how the scarce resources are distributed among the competing institutions. It must be also noted that money is one of the scarcest commodity around the world. As such, the budget allocation and utilization demand financial prudence by applying the concept of achieving more with less, because the competing institutions do have different missions to fulfill, and budget submissions and allocations do differ from one institution to another. Therefore, budget allocations are determined by external, this is second reading. Therefore, budget allocations are determined by external and internal factors of which the honorable members need to understand and take note of. Honorable Speaker, honorable member, this afternoon, my general debate contribution is focusing more on the office of the Prime Minister, because this office deals with unforeseen and unplanned circumstances. Namibia is not spared from environmental factors or challenges like climate change and natural disasters, among others. While Namibia was looking forward for good rainfalls, an unexpected visitor in the form of devastating floods has been observed, affecting many crop fields. Currently, the Office of the Prime Minister is busy dealing with the devastating floods across the country, while the drought situation and others are at the same time knocking at the door, because the crop fields of farmers has been washed away and the crops has been destroyed.
Each person has only 10 minutes to speak. Now, she has 4 minutes and 36 seconds to go to finish her statement. and I think that it would be more efficient for us to allow her to just finish, because otherwise she has to stop in the middle, and then she has to be the first person to speak tomorrow, because she's already on the floor. No, I am not going to allow a discussion. We are out of time. We are out of time now. Please, let's just allow her to finish. She's already on the floor, and if she stops now, she has to continue tomorrow, which will disturb the time allocation for tomorrow. So you colleagues, I was flexible with you when you were debating with me literally at the beginning. So let us allow her. Honorable member, you have the floor. Honorable Matundu, please take the floor. Honorable, please, let's just her finish. Let her finish. No, not granted, not granted. Please just go ahead and finish quickly.
Let's take note that this is the second reading of the debate.
No, Honorable. No. Honorable member, may you please take your seat? I would be able to respond to your concerns, but take your seat now. Okay, please, you can only make a point of order when you are given the floor to make a point of order. You are out of order, honorable member. Please, I will respond to you. Just take your seat now. I will respond. I will respond to you. No, you are out of order, honorable member. I will answer your concern. No, honorable, I will respond to you. No, you are given a floor to make a point of order. You are not given the floor. You are not given the floor to make a point of order. No, you can. I will respond to your concern. Just take here. I will respond. I will respond to you. I will explain to you. I will explain to you. I will explain to you. Honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the time. As I'm moving to conclusion, Honorable Speaker, credit must be given where it's due, and with that I would like to thank the Prime Minister and his team who has led a high-level delegation to Usakos town when he visited the bereaved families of the 6 people whose death has left the entire nation in shock waves. Right Honorable Prime Minister, thank you for giving the Naruse family your shoulder to lean on during the time of sorrow. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, during the tenure of the 7th Parliament, I have brought to the attention of the decision-making cabinet meeting chaired by the former President, the Office of the Prime Minister and Parliament about the difficulties of drought relief food reaching the beneficiaries that are residing in villages that are inaccessible by road due to their geographic locations. It was a happy occasion to witness a helicopter flying over the Kunene Mountains, this time around, not carrying the election materials, but the drought relief food to areas that are difficult to reach by road. The Swabo Party-led government has been highly commended by the inhabitants as witnessed in numerous audio clips in the social media. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, allow me to inform the August House that another thorn in the flesh is the sexual abuse among the women living with disabilities as well as well as men who are mentally not well. Some men are taking advantage of having unprotected sex with women living with disability, and as a result gave them pregnancies and do not even bother to recognize the pregnancy and neither supporting the children when they are born. It is high time that such men should be held accountable. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, in conclusion, as we continue to debate on the budget at committee stage, we must seek clear understanding to enable us to have a meaningful debate, mission-based and aimed at fiscal discipline, effective and efficient utilization of scarce resources as opposed to focusing on political gains. Honorable Speaker, I wholeheartedly support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, honorable members, we are each to strictly comply with the time allocation. Now, the Speaker is bound to apply the rules as adopted by ourselves with the flexibility that the Speaker is allowed. A member is allowed to raise their concern. The Speaker is required to consider the consent of members with all the seriousness that they deserve, but the Speaker is also required to, after having considered the matter and made a determination that is well thought out and fair, to enforce that. Because if the Speaker doesn't do that, it would mean any member that is in disagreement with the ruling of the Speaker would just speak out of 10 and the House will become chaotic. So when the Speaker says no point of order not allowed or not accepting the view of a member, that's not because the Speaker does not respect the view of the member. It's only to say we are different people, we will have different interpretations, and at the end of the day, a ruling has to be made. And when that ruling is made, we have to respect that ruling. Otherwise, the House descends into chaos. But tomorrow, tomorrow we should arrive here on time at 14 hours 30, and we limit especially the questions, the oral agent questions. And if there are questions that are really, really pressing, which will now depend on the discretion of the Speaker to indicate whether they should be entertained, so that we leave as much time as possible to the budget debate, we should have as few and to the point as possible in follow-up questions. Now, having said that, I would like to indicate that the Deputy Speaker would like to meet with the chief whips of all political parties tomorrow at 10 hours in the Constitution Room. And the honorable members are invited to join the Deputy Speaker for the meeting. Honorable members, in terms of our rules, we rise at 17 hours, 45 minutes, and we are beyond that time, so we have to rise on the basis of automatic adjournment. I want to implore us to say issues of concerns can also be taken up tomorrow at the meeting of the chief whips so that we can discuss these issues properly. But now, honorable member, please, the House adjourn. It's past time.